Hi, welcome to this week's vlog. Now I have on my phone a YouVersion app, the Bible app, and every day it highlights a particular verse from the Bible and there's someone talking about it, just teasing out some of the meaning behind it. And one of the verses from this week came from the letter of James in the New Testament, James chapter 5 verse 13, which I found particularly spoke to me or got my thinking going. James 5:13, is anyone among you in trouble? Let them pray. Is anyone happy? Let them sing songs of praise. And the interesting element about that verse, or one of the interesting elements, is that it looks at very contrasting experiences that we might have in our life from time to time. If anyone's in trouble, or we're going through the tough times, really hard times, we're struggling, what should we do? Pray, says James. On the other hand, if we're feeling great, if we're happy, if things are going really well, what should we do? We should sing songs of praise. So in other words, whatever our particular experience at any time, whether it's really tough or really great, the same response should be ours, and that is turn our face to God. So if we're in trouble, pray to God, call out to God, turn to him. If we're having a great time, happy time, turn to God and give him thanks. It says sing songs of praise. I sometimes sing when I'm on my own, but I don't suppose that people around me would be all that happy if I started singing when they're around, because I've not got a great singing voice. But nevertheless, there's the challenge. Whatever the circumstance of our life, whether it's great or bad or somewhere in between, turn our face to God. Focus on him. There was, I remember some years ago, because we always have a choice, don't we, in the tough times. I remember some years ago hearing of two couples who both lost their child very young. I don't know whether it was a stillbirth or a miscarriage, or a child who died very young, but both had very similar tragic situations in their family life. One couple, through that experience, really turned to God and cried out to God for help. The other couple turned away from God and said, if God has allowed that to happen, how can we trust him? So there's always that choice, isn't there? Do we turn to God or do we turn away from God? So there's the question. And I was just trying to think, there's a verse or there's a passage in John's Gospel where some of Jesus' disciples find that his teaching is really too hard. We sometimes think, don't we, that if we were able to travel back and be with Jesus, that would strengthen our faith and encourage us to serve him with greater commitment. But actually there were many who were with Jesus who left him, turned away, couldn't keep going, walking with him. And this particular situation, I think John chapter 6, some people found the going too hard. They left Jesus, and Jesus turns to the 12 disciples and says, do you too want to leave? And Peter says, to whom should we go? For you have the words of eternal life. In other words, if we give up on God, if we give up on following Jesus, that's a choice we can make. But where are we going to go? Where else can we find what we find in Jesus? So there's really the challenge, or the key point from that verse. In the tough times, when we're struggling, when we're suffering, when we can't understand, don't give up on God, but turn to God in prayer. Turn your face to God. Don't give up on him. And in the good times, the happy times, don't forget God. Don't say, this is great, I don't need God, but Give him thanks. I remember, again, memories come to my mind of someone from a church I knew. Were out in the community and telling people about events happening at church and inviting them, and someone responded by saying, I've got everything I want, I don't need God. And my friend said, well, why don't you come and give him thanks then? I thought that was a great response. So, suffering, pray, turn your face to God. Happy times, turn to God and give him thanks. I thought that verse was interesting and worth pondering on. How do we respond in the tough times and in the good times? Anyway, God bless you. Thank you so much for listening today.